We got just horrible news. And I tried, Brian. I tried going. Sometimes we have the happy talk, right, where we talk about fun things at the top of the program. I tried to go through the news because there's usually a story about, I don't know, a Dalmatian that finds its own way home from the Arctic Circle. It's kind of heartwarming, or some kind of funny story about the foibles of human nature, like a burglar tries to break into a glass factory and ends up falling in the glass smelter and making a spectacle out of himself. But there's nothing, Brian. It's all bad. The news is bad, baby. It's bad. It's nothing but bad news and misery all around. And now the bad news and the misery has apparently been inflicted on the wrestling industry. Could this be the thing, the needle that pops the bubble, Brian, with all these big money TV deals? They tried to make me a Nielsen family. We talked about that. These people are still calling me from a 513 area code somewhere up there in Ohio. But the ratings are changing that were already, as we saw, fucking flawed to begin with when we went through that little package they sent me. And now they're changing the ratings or how they do the ratings. And I don't understand a goddamn thing about it, because I've only had it explained to me by two so-called experts. Well, I haven't had it explained to me personally. I've read the writings. And if you've read the writs they've written, you'll know they're really confusingly written writs. Uncle Dave, who, when you give him numbers, he'll go on. And it just degenerates into brain salad surgery.
I study this.
And he studied, the numbers all make sense to him. And then there's...
Because he wants to learn. You have to want to learn.
He's a student of the game. I wish he'd learn how to write concisely enough that any other human being besides his own tortured mind.
Oh, those are insults.
Could possibly...
If you're issuing insults, you've lost the argument.
Well, no, I didn't issue them. I emitted them.
Well done. Well put.
They emitted from me. I didn't issue them. If I put them down in my next book, we'll talk about my new book later on, but my next book, I'll put them in and I'll issue them. But nevertheless, and also the learned scholar over there at the Flummox place, I don't know. I saw an email where he was trying. Who was that? Thurston Howell?
WrestleNomics. Thurston,
yes,
not Thurston Howell. Brandon Thurston is the editor or the boss, or he owns it, whatever the fuck it is.
Well, he was trying to explain it, and it doesn't seem to be abundantly clear there either. But all I needed to see, Brian, all I needed to see was one statement from our friend Uncle Dave. One statement that puts it all into perspective. It says pro wrestling's value to television right now looks to be taking a very significant hit across the board. I see the bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. I see earthquakes and lightning. I see bad times today. Also bad organ playing.
Hey.
Hope you got your things together, wrestling companies, and I'm looking at you, Tony Khan, when I say this, because the WWE not only has more money now than has ever been printed before, but they're also having their pictures taken with that glory hound in the Oval Office, so they're pretty safe. But holy mackerel. If the ratings get worse, the only thing that has been agreed upon by everybody that's said anything about this, Brian, maybe you can shed some more light on this, is that the new way that they're figuring the ratings, wrestling is suffering. Football did better. And some shows are only doing a little worse, but wrestling sucks ass in this new system. And don't the rights fees at some point down the road here in the next few years have to somewhat be concurrent with the people? If AEW is losing viewers already on television, which we've established that they have since they started, and then they lose more because they changed the rules, is this good? Or anybody else that wants to get in the wrestling business? Or already in and we just don't pay any attention to them?
I don't know if it's good for wrestling. I don't think it really affects necessarily streaming platforms. Those numbers are what they are. But we've always said the issue with television ratings is the accuracy. The business, the advertisers, not the wrestling business, the television business has always run on this model using these ratings. But they are far from accurate. For whatever reason, there's no just direct, everyone who has a cable box, here's what everyone's watching. There isn't any of that. It's an assumption based on how many people do keep track of the ratings.
Who would have thought that wearing an ankle monitor somewhere on your person, if you're over the age of 6, that while you go about your daily life, that will hear signals that are hidden to the naked ear that you come in contact with as you traverse the goddamn town? Who knew that system could be flawed?
And we'll get to, I have the article here that Brandon Thurston wrote for WrestleNomics, and we should plug them if we're going to talk about this. WrestleNomics is on Patreon. You can subscribe there for all the information that they have. But it's important to note, last week, right after we recorded the experience and we did the AEW Dynamite ratings, which as of right now are not in for this week. They may not be in by the end of the show. But right after we came out, what was it last week? Like 636 or something?
I believe so.
Reports started coming in that Programming Insider had a different number, and that number was like 100,000 less. And apparently it was somewhat similar, I want to say, for NXT. Whatever the number was that came out the traditional way, the Programming Insider number appears to be the brand new big data plus panel, that's what they call it, Nielsen way of grabbing the ratings, and it showed significantly 100,000 people on a show with 600,000 viewers. That's a sixth of the audience wasn't there. So what you said before, I think, is that this should help wrestling. It helped football. You would think it would help wrestling, and it's gone the other way so far, early on. To explain any of this, because I don't think we've done that at all.
Yeah, well, and also, nobody apparently understands why this thing is so, as of yet, that wrestling has taken a hit over this, even over some. I mean, as we mentioned, some programs were slightly up or slightly down. There's some variation, but wrestling is like whammo, and nobody's taking a swing at trying to figure that out yet. But when they say, what the fuck, just words out loud. That's the explanation for me. What is big data plus panel? What is that terminology that they're using now to describe this horse shit?
Again, going through the article from WrestleNomics, up until now, generally, Nielsen TV ratings data has been measured with the panel-only methodology, sometimes called automatic content measurement, or ACM.
That's what I always called it.
That's going to be phased out in Q4 of 2025, which is the current quarter year. Nielsen's going to big data plus panel. Panel-only data has been based generally on a representative sample of households whose viewing is actually being metered. The national...
Okay, wait, hold on now. That's what traditionally, in one form or another, as we've mentioned, before they had the ankle monitor thing, you had a demographic and geographic and numerical cross-section of people that were supposed to represent the greater number that either had a old diary that they'd write things down in, or then later on there was an actual gimmick box on their TV that could tell what they were watching, and that was extrapolated multiple times to get the number. So it was still obviously not a real accurate system.
It was a sample. It was a sample size, and everything was derived from that, whether or not it was a realistic number or not. back to this article here, Nielsen claims that big data plus panel will improve accuracy. The Media Rating Council, whoever they may be, has accredited the methodology, which at least means the nonprofit third-party organizations that's intended for this very purpose agrees it's a credible form of measurement. So whoever this third-party group
What is that form of measurement, though? What is big data?
Big data plus panel.
It sounds like Big Daddy.
Big data plus panel uses massive device-level data from set-top boxes and smart TVs. Panel data is also in the new methodology to validate the big data and scale measurements. Last week, this is from WrestleNomics here, last week, and in every report up until this writing, we have reported panel-only data for traditional TV ratings. Starting today, I expect we'll see big data plus panel TV ratings. And trying to see if there's anything here that explains how it affects the wrestling ratings so far. This certainly explains the discrepancies we saw last week in TV ratings reports from Programming Insider and others, including WrestleNomics. In general, under big data plus panel, I expected that we would see telecasts with generally higher viewership measurements. But so far, for the wrestling telecasts, for which I have measurements under both methodologies, viewership is mostly lower. Still, other telecasts measure higher. It seems like telecasts that have a younger age skew, in some cases, tend to measure lower with big data plus panel, but it's by no means consistent. And by the way, I mean, there are less and less young people watching TV, and the AEW key demo, we've seen that number shrink and shrink and shrink. So I don't know how much that would be the thing here, but it seems like they say it's going to be more accurate.
Well, but it's not just AEW specific, but it's also WWE as well, and they have. Well, the kids. What about the kids? Does anybody think about the kids? But it's Uncle Dave is. Again, his statement is nobody has been hurt as badly as WWE and AEW. Reasons why aren't known. But the NFL did get gains, but maybe the NFL is behind this.
See, that's part of the problem, though, in my estimation. And again, I don't have a methodology that I'm applying to this, just my own sense. That's going with the idea that the numbers we were getting were in any way accurate, which I don't think they ever were, especially the last few years. And that's also going with the idea that all things being equal, if we took a real number, if we got a real number of how many people were watching these shows, it would be higher. And it takes out of the equation that Dynamite's been terrible. And Raw and SmackDown, if you're lucky, you get one or two segments worth watching, but they're slogs to get through. It's not Bill Watts' Mid-South Wrestling, an action-packed 60 minutes that you can't miss. There's plenty you can miss, and people do.
Well, this may not bode well, Brian. It may not. Their whole business these days is everybody's is built on TV rights. TV rights. I want TV rights.
I'm just wondering how they get it from smart TVs. You have a smart TV, I know, in your house. I have a smart TV here. Do they just get that information, or do you have to opt in?
Well, there's this guy that has been coming by for the last several months. He knocks on the door about once a week and just goes behind the TV and does something. I don't know what. He's back there for a little while. I don't know why he has to pull his pants down, but he says it's real tight back there.
Hey, one last thing. This is from Nielsen themselves when they put out a press statement a few months ago. Big data plus panel national TV measurement combines Nielsen's unique high-quality representative panel measurement with data from cable, satellite set-top boxes, and smart TVs across 45 million households and 75 million devices. There's a number. That's the sample size right there.
Well, that seems like that would be more accurate than a bunch of people up in fucking Dayton, harassing people on the phone to put on their ankle monitor.
Do you know anything? I mean, one last thing about this, and I know we've talked a lot in the past about Nielsen, and you've had different experiences at OVW where test patterns did record numbers and all sorts of things. But when they find new Nielsen homes, new Nielsen families, like they tried with you, is it something where everyone in your neighborhood is hit up, or is it something where it's one person here, one person miles away, one person in the next state? Like, how is it done? How many Nielsen homes would there be in a community?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question, Brian, because most of the people, live around here won't speak to me. But no, I have never thought to ask the few neighbors that I am cordial with. Hey, did you get a fucking $2 in the mail from Nielsen last week? It's never come up, but that is a good question.
Ever since you brought it up, we've had a bunch of listeners say that it's happened to them since then. We've had listeners post in the Cult of Cornette Facebook group, like pictures of the money. Like, here's the money. Here's the evidence. I got $2.
Show me the money. Well, that might be so, but actually think about this. If it was in any way even ever intended to be legitimate as far as a cross sampling, then one would imagine that you wouldn't just blanket a neighborhood, because you would be picking by some mathematical formula. Okay, 37% of the country is Methodists that, eat fucking ice cream. So we got to find 37 Methodists that eat ice cream or whatever the fuck, right? So a bunch of the same kind of people probably live in the same fucking general neighborhood. One would think that wouldn't be a wide cross section of age or race or sex or genre or whatever the fuck.
Every single day, Tony Khan's family collects countless millions of dollars because of their patent and everything that brings in. So money is no object. You could overspend on anything. And he wants to make this wrestling company work. 6 years. There are people saying, 6 years, he's getting better. No booker has ever gotten better after 6 years straight, and he was bad from year one. But should Tony Khan consider buying 500,000 smart TVs? And just getting a warehouse, maybe a warehouse in Alabama where there's lots of warehouse space?
You're talking about Tim Horner with unlimited funds.
Well, no, but this is, yeah. I mean, but this actually would work if they're actually measuring the smart TVs. I don't know. It may be worth it for Tony. Get a big boost.
Remember when years ago there was an early podcast entity, without naming any names, that we swore to God in some way or another had to have some hut in Bolivia downloading over and over?
Yeah, the one where the guy literally told me that the numbers, he didn't think they were real and he blamed his partner? Yeah, that one, yeah.
That one, yeah. Is there some type of farm, like they have the Russian bot farms you hear about? Is there some type of farm where you could just pay some black market dark web service to download your shit millions of times so you can get famous with the numbers? I don't know.
Tony's farm. Thanks Guys Farm. Thanks Guys Ranch. Welcome to the Thanks Guys Ranch. I'm a real farmer. I think it would work.
That's a South Park episode. As a matter of fact, Tony Khan looks like a South Park character without, the goddamn...
Without the blinking.
without the blinking. I was going to say without the bother of animating his face, but you kind of succinctly cut to the fucking chase there. But nevertheless, we will continue to monitor this situation as far as who's rating who with what, and whether these are when we give numbers, we're going to tell you whether they're the old-fashioned fake numbers or the newfangled fake numbers. Because we believe in accuracy and the fakery.